We've now extended our lead at the top to 6 points.
Yeah, it's kind of job done at the moment, and you just got to tick off those wins.
I feel like it's almost gone under the radar. I know people talk about him being a great ball-winning midfielder. This might be one of the best I've ever seen. Yeah, I think he might well be in that conversation for best midfielder in the league and one of the best in the world. But I just don't think there's another Declan Rice, and you're not going to find another Declan Rice.
How much is that sort of double punch in the stomach taking the wind out of their sails? Let's hope it's completely, knackered them mentally.
I think this year feels different. This year I look at our 11 pound for pound and I would trade almost none of our 11.
They're not idiots. They can feel it. We can all see it. We don't like to talk it up too much because we don't want to jinx it, but the bottom line is Arsenal are the best, do have the best squad in the country at the moment.
Hello, I'm Nick Bright and welcome to the first Inside Gooners of 2026. I hope you all had a happy Christmas and New Year, overindulging whilst Arsenal sit top of the league. And joining me this week is former Arsenal midfielder Adrian Clarke and broadcaster James Bayliss. Clarke, we'll start with you. A great festive period for Arsenal, but I hope you had a good one as well.
Of course, yeah, no, it was lovely. Yeah, very, very nice. And yeah, it's made better by Arsenal continuing this winning streak. Not every performance was amazing. I didn't think that we hit gear apart from that fantastic win against Aston Villa in the second half. But yeah, it's kind of job done at the moment. And you just got to tick off those wins, one by one. And if we continue to do that, it will apply enough pressure, I think, to potentially see off the chasers. So, yeah, it's all going very swimmingly.
Yeah, and James, Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Thank you, mate, and you.
Yeah, it's brilliant to have you back on. We're going to get into this straight away. We're barely into 2026 and we've already had a big manager sacking in the Premier League. I know this is Inside Gooners, but Ruben Amorim leaves Manchester United this morning. We play them in a few weeks' time. So, James, I'll come to you. Your thoughts on the sacking?
I just want to know where all the Arteta comparisons have gone. I remember a lot of, where you got to give it time and, that's what Arsenal did with Arteta. And look, it doesn't always go that way. The reason we stuck by Arteta was for all the disappointment in some of those early years. There were signs like the tactical flexibility to win an FA Cup, like some of the investment had gone on good players like Gabriel and players that we thought, we can see an idea. Yes, it wasn't all coming together. With Ruben Amorim at Man United, the results have been shambolic. And look, actually, it's weird because we were talking about this, weren't we, off air, that it actually felt like, not they were clicking, but they were in the conversation where you'd expect them to be. I actually think he's quite a good manager, but he had a terrible time at Man United. And probably because of his comments and whatever's gone on off the pitch, they've moved on, and fair enough.
Yeah. He was looking for a way out.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt for me. It was like he was, I'm going to be here until the next guy takes over, and he was quite combative, wasn't he, in his post-match interview?
I think once you start taking on your bosses, it's game over, really. We saw that with Enzo Maresca, didn't we? He was sacked or resigned, whichever way it came about. He left 24 hours later, practically. The same with Ruben Amorim. You've got to be in harmony and you've got to be on the same page. And at Arsenal, luckily, I think Arteta is absolutely on board with the owners and they work together very nicely. But United and Chelsea, I think there was a lot of frustration at the policies and those two managers couldn't handle it.
Yep. All right, well, let's get on to all things Arsenal then. 2 second-half Declan Rice strikes ensured we headed back to North London from Bournemouth with 3 points. We've now extended our lead at the top to 6 points. Clarke, let's start then with the opening exchanges in the game. A rare blip for our king of Brazil at the back, Gabriel. I mean, that's so out of character for him.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, Arsenal just don't make errors that lead to goals. I mean, last season there were very, very few of them. This season, I struggled to remember too many either. And Gabriel's Mr. Reliable, isn't he? It can only be a lapse of concentration, can't it? Because there were a couple of passes on. I think he could have switched it to Timber through quite a big gap. He could have gone over Evan Nilsson to Saliba. But yeah, look, he made a mistake. But look, it didn't take him long to make amends within a few minutes. I thought that at the start of this game, we had a plan. And unfortunately, the plan actually wasn't working. It sort of fell into Bournemouth's hands. We had loads of the ball and we wanted to press them high. And Bournemouth decided to just flip balls over the top and it stretched us out as a team and they'd win those second balls and it'd land in the middle of midfield with Cliver and others that did quite a bit of damage really in that first half. We adjusted and we sort of dropped off a little bit in the second half. The stats are quite stark actually, and again that's where Arteta and the experience of the team are coming to the fore, because they recognised actually Plan A isn't working. Maybe Amorim needed to take a little bit of advice on that. Plan A wasn't working, so we switched it around, and we were worthy winners in the end.
We've seen it a couple of times now, haven't we? Against Villa, similar in that first half, they were way, more dangerous, and then in the second half, whatever Arteta says to the team in the dressing room, it clearly works.
Well, in the past, I don't know if you feel this, James, but in the past, I thought if there's a weakness for Arteta, it's does he influence enough matches mid-game? With his changes, is it a little bit like for like? Well, I think actually this season, certainly in the last couple of months, we've seen him make quite dramatic changes to the tactics and it work. So that's a sort of another tick in the Arteta box, really.
I completely agree. I think he deserves immense credit for the way he's managed the squad, but how he's managed half-times and how he's managed substitutions as well. I mean, I've got to be honest, I wasn't loving seeing Mudryk and Martinelli starting, not because I don't rate the players, but because it felt like quite a step away from Saka and Trossard, two of our more informed players. Brings them in, they have a degree of impact, certainly Mudryk in that first half. And then whatever he says at half-time, you're right, completely flips the game. You're right, we saw it against Villa, Bayern Munich second half, Atletico second half, Newcastle second half. So there's been a lot of games where actually he's been able to, at half-time, make tweaks. The kind of thing that we credit Unai Emery for, right? Yeah. At half-time, you've seen the game and you've done something off the pitch that is just beyond the players. It comes from you, the manager. Feels like Arteta's done a lot of that this season, and major credit to him. Yeah,
it's a good point about Mudryk, actually, because I was going to ask you about him, actually, James. He's scored 2 against Bruges, wasn't it? And he had a fantastic game. And then since then, he's struggled to get into the team simply because, when you've got Bukayo Saka occupying that berth, it's always going to be difficult. But he had a good game, set up the goal, really. I know there was it was pinballing around the box and Martinelli had the shot, but it was Madueke's hard work that made that goal.
Yeah, stats are funny because for me, that's a Madueke assist. Yeah. But it's not really, is it? I mean, he's done all the work. But it's a good finish from Gabriel, obviously. Yeah, it was good to see, and it has been really good to see him take his opportunity. A lot of negativity around the transfer, maybe because it happened so early when we needed a striker. We wanted a player like Eze. So Madueke comes in at £50 million. And to be fair, in the 1 month absence of Saka, looked really bright. Shame he got injured when he did. But then when he's been called upon, I think he's looked really bright. He is surprised, 'cause I did watch him at Chelsea, but he surprised me how often he beats the fullback. Like on such a regular basis, he's so happy to go on the inside. He even had that chance early in the game at 0-0.
He should have scored.
I think he should have. Yeah. Does all the hard work. So great to see him looking so bright. It means we can take Saka out and go, no worries, we're resting you for Liverpool to a degree.
Well, I think it helps that he came from Chelsea, so another big club, because he's got the temperament, he can handle it. A lot of players shrink if they go to a big club that's, too quick, too much too soon. But he's not scared at all. There's no fear there, is there? And I love that about him. He should definitely have scored that from that run. But yeah, it was his inspiration for the Gabriel goal. And I thought it was nice to see Timber actually leave him alone in 1v1s, because, I used to be a winger, as you know, and it would drive me nuts if they give me the ball and then every single time they come flying round, I'm like, come on, leave me 1v1. But we did that because I think he knew that Madueke could beat Truffert, and I think he beat Semenyo for the run that ultimately led to the Gabriel goal. So, yeah, that was smart play. And look, we are not going to get a better backup to Bukayo Saka than Noni Madueke. Fact.
Yeah. I think it's been a brilliant signing, and it's nice because, like James alluded to, when the signing was announced, it was quite a difficult time for Madueke, and he's kind of silenced any of those doubts by doing really, really well. Someone who is doing more than really, really well, and in my opinion, I don't know if this is a big shout or not, is the most important player in the Arsenal team, is Declan Rice. I think he is unbelievable, future England captain for sure. Both of you, I'll get your thoughts on Declan Rice. 2 goals. Best midfielder in the league for you, James?
Ooh, yeah, I'd say so. Rodri's not at his best at the moment, is he? So I feel quite comfortable using that excuse to put Rice in there. He's definitely the most complete, though. When you talk about impact in the final third, impact on set pieces, defensively still unbelievable. I feel like it's almost gone under the radar. I know people talk about him being a great ball-winning midfielder. This might be one of the best I've ever seen in terms of cleaning up midfields, eating up ground. When we went to 3-2 late in that game, him and Zubimendi, because Zubimendi does this brilliantly too, every time there was a second ball, they ran all over Bournemouth. They never got near us. And I'm thinking, this should be a nervy last 6-7 minutes, but it never got to that because of those two. And Marino, to be fair. Yeah, I think he might well be in that conversation for best midfielder in the league and one of the best in the world. I love him and I wouldn't swap him for anyone. And you asked, is he our most important player? I think Gabriel and Saliba are on a level with him and Saka in terms of their quality. But you mentioned Madueke, Mosquera, Calafiori and Capie. These are great players to call upon. No one in the squad can do what Declan Rice does. Others can give us something different. Marino can, maybe Lewis Skelly one day. But I just don't think there's another Declan Rice. And you're not going to find another Declan Rice.
No, he's special. He's really special. But it's not just about what he does with the ball or even with the ball winning. It's his spirit, it's his character, it's the personality that he plays with. He carries people with him. And he's a winner. I know that he played for West Ham where they didn't win a lot, but you can see he's a natural born winner that will drive up standards sort of on and off the pitch. I think if Arsenal win the league, and I think all of us in this room sincerely hope and probably believe that we will win the league this season, I think Declan Rice gets Footballer of the Year. I think he is the driving force in the team, no doubt.
Yeah. What did you make of his goals, actually?
Superb. I mean, very calm. We needed that calmness. He's got great technique, hasn't he? He can really finish crisply. He strikes the ball so cleanly. What I loved about the goals was his intelligence in terms of the movement. So I think for the first goal, more inexperienced players might have charged into the box early. Yeah. But what he did, he jogged. He could see the picture of what was going to happen, and he held his ground, and then he attacked the space to score. And then for the second one, the one where Saka cuts it back, his marker is with him, but his marker charges back, and he just literally stands still and says, well, sometimes the best bits of movement are actually where you don't move because everyone else around you's moving and it creates that little hole. And and it was really smart. And I enjoyed those moments. And I think he enjoyed it as well. Yeah. And look, if this is what happens when Declan Rice has a day off, as he did against Villa, then maybe we should give him, a rest a little bit more often. I don't kind of mean that, but he came back with a bang, didn't he?
Was the type of player, he'd have hated missing Villa. He'd have absolutely hated that he missed that night, the occasion, the chance to prove himself against Onana and players of that quality and a team of that quality. So he comes in wanting to make a point. I mean, I was surprised he started. I thought maybe 20, 30 minutes to get you up to speed for Liverpool. But if he's fit, you've got to use him because, like we said, you can't really replace him. And I love what you just said there about that goal where he lets the play happen. Because I was actually watching back the highlights this morning. You know that shot that's going around on social media of Gyökeres with like 5 defenders around him? Rice isn't even in frame. He's like still coming in, and you kind of realise like, of course it's quite difficult to mark him because he can just attack the picture so quickly. Yeah, we're very lucky to have him. Well, we paid £105 million. But even
half
then,
price.
even then, it doesn't feel like a fee should remotely speak about. That's how good he's been.
Yeah. And just to back up what you were just saying there, James, he had a swollen knee for the Villa game. And Arteta's, I don't know if you've seen Arteta's comments where he basically asked Declan Rice late on, are you ready for this game, the Bournemouth game? And he replied, I'm in. Just how important is that attitude when you're going for the title?
Well, I'd be staggered if anyone said I'm not in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At the moment, because Arsenal are in the mix for everything, playing well, none of the team should want to miss any games. And that's the tough bit actually for Arteta, isn't it? The juggling and keeping the guys who aren't regulars, keeping them motivated, keeping them happy. It helps when you're winning, because the whole mood around the group is positive. But that's the trick. And I think by and large, he seems to be doing a pretty good job at that. For an inexperienced manager, and he still is relatively inexperienced, I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. You mentioned Victor Gyökeres, and I feel like we constantly talk about Victor Gyökeres and he's under the microscope because he's not really scoring goals, the reason that he was brought into the team. Gabriel Jesus, back now. Kai Havertz, been on the bench, probably going to be back in the team at some point. How do you see the number 9 role shaping up for, obviously we've got Liverpool coming up and a big month coming up. Who do you think is going to take that berth?
Well, look, straight off, I think it'll be Gyökeres who starts. I think Arteta likes patterns and rhythms, and I think he likes when data looks a certain way. And the reality is that we're winning games with Gyökeres. And actually, I don't think it's that much of a coincidence that Sunderland, Chelsea, Villa, 3 away games in a row without him. I'm I'm not saying we should have control in those games because they're tricky games, but we never really had like an outlet or a way to just go from one end of the pitch to the other quite quickly. Remember the Verbruggen yellow card in the Brighton game? Yeah. That ability for Lewis Gay to just pump it down the pitch to Gyökeres. But then he comes back and we win at Everton, we win at Bournemouth. Now, it can just be maybe a coincidence. It could be a lot of factors. We didn't have Saliba and Gabriel, for example, for some of those games. But I just feel like I can understand why Arsenal fans are frustrated with Gyökeres at times, and he has missed some chances. I just feel like we look like we've got more to us when he's up front. I don't know. I wish I knew coaching and professional football to that level to be able to explain why. Yeah. But sometimes it's just numbers, and numbers say that we look better with him. What do you make of him?
Oh, I think he needs to be better to stay in the team in the long term. He needs to score more goals. He needs to hold it better. He needs to make more intelligent runs. I think he hasn't been as good as I expected him to be, or I think Arsenal expected him to be. But yeah, stylistically, I think it can work. He will stretch teams, and that will open up more space for Arteta, for Ødegaard rather, or Reza, people like that. And yeah, look, he did draw 5 defenders towards him for that goal.
They were all worried, weren't they?
Yeah, they're very, very nervous about it. So look, I think he just stands out like a sore thumb because he's not like anyone else in the Arsenal squad. They're all silky, technically amazing players. And Gyökeres isn't silky, and he isn't technically brilliant. But I love the fact that we've got someone that's different.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think every squad needs to have different profiles. We just want more goals. And we need more goals.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like he's been brought in as this number 9 who was going to fire us to the title, and he's not really kind of doing that at the moment. But I'm, with you both. I like him in the team, and I think he's definitely doing a job within the team. The other end of the pitch, I wanted to speak to you both about that. The defence has been lauded, rightfully, this season because it's been amazing. There's been a few injuries. We've got almost our first choice back because I think Calafiori in there, then that's our first choice. Yeah. So we're almost there. But we have been leaking goals and, teams are getting shots away now. Yeah. I mean, at the start of the season, they weren't even getting a shot. So does that concern either of you at all? What's happening at the back?
I like it more when we're giving no shots on target. I really do. I love that because it's sort of old school Arsenal. It takes it back to, you won't remember George Graham, but the days of George Graham where it was 1-0 to the Arsenal, that's what I was brought up on. And that feels very Arsenal to me. So that mentality of we hate conceding a shot, let alone a goal, sits very well with me. But it's not going to be like that all season, and no team can ever do that. What's the reason? I think a little bit of chopping and changing, a bit of fatigue, for sure. Maybe less planning for games because they've been coming so thick and fast. We've had to be a little bit more off the cuff. I don't know. Hincapié I like as a player. I love his aggression, but he isn't quite as good as Calafiori at the moment as a left back. If you remember that Minter shot for Brighton, the amazing save from David Raya, he wanders off him. So he's with it. He's with Hincapié, and the ball moves, and he just wanders inside, gets onto it, shoots, should score. The goal that Krupi scored is exactly the same. Yeah. So he wanders off of Hincapié. He's not sure. Do I follow him or not? He doesn't. And of course, he smacks a really good shot in. So the little things to learn for Hincapié, I think, moving forwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting on the defence because I'm the same. I love just that stat popping up like 0 XG from a team at half-time against Arsenal and then 2 shots all get... You think this is domination on another level. I do wonder whether... firstly, teams are always going to figure us out. There are great coaches, there are great teams. They're trying to all plot and plan. How do we get at Arsenal? And they're going to find things. Yeah. I also wonder whether maybe it's just to a degree the run of games. Sunderland away, going to be tricky. Chelsea going to be tricky. Villa going to be tricky. Even, I know Wolves, I know we made hard work of it from the perspective of why did it take a late own goal? But did they get near our goal? I remember Hwang in the first half. You know what I mean? It's not like we are... It's not like we look vulnerable, is basically what I'm trying to say. Everton, we saw out that game brilliantly. Bournemouth, there's an error and then a great strike from distance. I'm not too worried about it. I think it's just a combination of a lot of things.
In that second half against Bournemouth, where we dropped Rice and Zubimendi a little bit deeper and they did so well protect it in the back four, Bournemouth's XG was 0.22. So Pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we can always fix it.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not working, we can stick a plaster on it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Villa had like next to no XG by till extra time or something like that. I need to look into it properly, but yeah, it happens like that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Manchester City briefly because, you know, they're our closest rivals. Well, them and Villa level on points now, but, you know, you would argue Manchester City are the ones who will push on. 2 draws in a row for Man City now leaves us 6 points clear at the top of the table. At this point in the season, then, how do you both feel?
Well, I feel very good about that,
Yeah.
I've got to say. I mean, because City celebrated so wildly, didn't they, when they won at Forest? Not wildly, maybe that's unfair, but they celebrated like it mattered, like it really mattered. And I think the game, the Sunderland was the best 0-0 I'd seen in years.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant game for loads of reasons, but they were unlucky not to win. And clearly, when you concede in the 94th minute against Chelsea, you're also unlucky not to win. So it's just how much has that sort of double punch in the stomach taken the wind out of their sails? Let's hope it's completely, you know, knackered them mentally, because that you know, after what's happened with City chasing us in the past, you know, all these setbacks are very, very welcome.
Yeah, for the sake of balance, City were 8 points behind us January 2023.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we've been here before.
Yeah.
But the difference is that, did we really feel in January 2023, when you looked at our 11 versus their 11, did we really feel that we were better than them? Like, genuinely, I don't think we could, not De Bruyne, Rodri, Gundogan, Haaland, all these players, Mahrez, I don't think we genuinely ever looked at that and thought, yeah, we're the better side. So
No, we had a
therefore-
great 11, but outside the 11, we didn't have it.
Exactly. I think this year feels different. This year, I look at our 11 pound for pound, and cool, they got Haaland, they got some players we definitely want, but largely, I would trade almost none of our 11. And that just speaks to, A, the great work of the last few years from a recruitment perspective, B, they've had to move on from the Mahrez of the world, the De Bruyne's and whoever. But also, I quite like that one of these two teams will be champions. Could be Villa, but we're probably looking at Arsenal City. And a lot of the things that have been levelled at Arsenal now could be levelled at City the last few games. You know, a lack of goals, 1 goal in those 2 games. I mean, we struggled a little bit against Forest. Late goal conceded, not winning a big game against Chelsea. You know, questions about Arsenal's mentality, Arsenal in big games. All this stuff that I thought was very harsh. It's true of City to a degree too. So one of them, they've got imperfections. One of them will be winners. I think it will be us. But it doesn't feel like we're coming up against the mega Man City of the treble win, of the 4 in a row. But they're still brilliant, and Pep's always got something up his sleeve.
Mentality, though, you both mentioned that word actually, and it's how much credit do you think, Clarke, this Arsenal team deserve, just in terms of, you know, to come so close as we have done, 3 consecutive second-place finishes. That's hard to take, especially last season. The season before, wasn't it? Where it was the last game of the season, wasn't it? Last season we kind of fell away a bit versus Liverpool. But, you know, to go again and be where we are, that deserves some credit.
Yeah, it shows that the team are with Arteta. That's it in a nutshell, really, because I think 3 runners-up finishes, as good as they are, could have crushed some dressing rooms. It could, certain players within teams would think, it's not happening. It's not happening. I want out. No one wants out at Arsenal. You've seen it with the contract renewals. You know, one by one, they keep committing to the Arteta project. They're not idiots. They can feel it. We can all see it. We don't like to talk it up too much because we don't want to jinx it. You know, but the bottom line is, Arsenal are the best. Do have the best squad in the country at the moment, and we really should win the Premier League this season. So, and I think the players knew that at the start of this season. When they looked around in that dressing room, they were like, yeah, we're going to do it this year. And I think they feel even stronger about that now.
Yeah, I think so. That last year's second feels like a bit of a fake second, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were never really in it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that might be a bit of a benefit for this year. I think if we'd gone another year chasing, leading at one point, you know, going back and forth to Liverpool to not win it, then maybe you'd feel a little bit more of what you said this season. But I think last season, the players, this might sound like a bad thing to make excuses, but to a degree, you kind of almost have to internalise it. Go, we had a load of injuries. We can never really get a consistent 11 out there. Marino was playing up front. and we still got second in the league. We still got to Champions League semi-final. So we know our floor is way higher than I've ever known it as an Arsenal fan. So now it's about, well, what can we do when everyone's fit, when the squad depth is there, the money's spent, what's our ceiling? I think that's what drove a lot of the belief in the players. But like you said there, with Arteta, ultimately a lot of them will be going, we're playing for a top manager here. We're so close. We're a young group who's only getting to that maturity together at the right time. And hopefully this season we reap the rewards.
Yeah, I mean, look, Clarke's been in dressing rooms, so kind of he knows what it's like from that side of things. But I can only speak as a fan, and I feel like because of the 3 consecutive second place finishes, that's why we're seeing this like uber nervousness at the Emirates. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's crazy.
100%.
The fans are more nervous than the players. I'm telling you now. That when I look at the players, I don't see nerves. I don't see edginess. I see actually a team, not always, but largely in control, certainly in control of their emotions. I mean, how many daft decisions have we made? I know Gabriel just made one, but in terms of red cards and stuff like that, we're sort of managing things emotionally pretty well on the pitch. It's us lot off it. Yeah. We're the problem.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Definitely is like, I mean, I feel it as a fan, but sometimes I wonder whether we just don't have, and you can speak to this way more, but we don't have a perspective on how difficult it is. So when we beat Brighton 2-1 and I'm frustrated that we left goals on the pitch, we should have taken more of our chances, they're probably in the changing room thinking, good win. Like, they're a good team, we won, keep it moving. And they might just have, maybe not for that game in particular, but they might just have a different perspective. You know, Everton away, we might go, again, 1-0 nervy at the end. They're thinking, great, we've come to Everton, difficult place to go, evening game, keep it moving around Christmas and a tight schedule. So they've probably just got a much better perspective than we do, where we're freaking out about the moments where, I mean, we were 4-1 up in the North London derby and I was still tense in my seat. I mean, what are we doing here? But we went and made it comfortable.
We're going to move on in a sec, but you know, you mentioned the North London derby. Eberechi Eze, a player who got a hat-trick in that game, he can't even get in the team at the minute. So that's how unbelievable our depth is, you know. It only feels like last week since the summer transfer window closed, but we found ourselves at the start of the January window now. So, James, it can be argued that a team at the top of the league, and the top of the Champions League as well, I feel like we need to throw that in there, doesn't need to strengthen at all. But is there anywhere on the field that you'd like to maybe see us look at?
Let me be honest, I've never been less interested in a January window in my life. It's the most relaxed I've ever been. That's not to say that, look, Arsenal, and I think Andrea Berta is this type of operator, if there's an opportunity, I think they'll do it. I kind of wonder whether that was the reason for the Tomiyasu exit, was Mosquera for 13 million, kind of made sense, and that's how they ended up operating with that one. I think we need something in midfield in terms of maybe some legs and some really trusted depth. Now, there's an interesting theory that we might go for a defender, so Lewis Skelly could actually be nurtured into that position more. I think maybe just one more player that basically gives us depth simultaneously in midfield and defence, and I'm happy. But if we did nothing, provided there's no extra injuries, obviously, then I can't blame the team. They had such a big summer. They did everything I could have wanted them to do. They showed ambition. And there's got to be a degree of space. I mean, people wondering why Havertz, Waneri weren't in the matchday squad for Bournemouth. Because we didn't need them. This wasn't, there's no other reason. We just didn't need them. Eze's not getting on the pitch like you mentioned. So if there's a good deal that makes sense, I'm all for it. If there's the right player, right profile that Arteta thinks will add something great, but I'm not calling for it necessarily.
That theory of yours about us signing a defender, that makes total sense, because if any manager loves signing defenders, it's got to be Mikel Arteta, hasn't it?
He does love it. Yeah, but there's no body of evidence to suggest he wants to play Lewis Skelly in midfield, unfortunately.
You're right.
I think I would like to see him there. And I think if there's one hole in the squad, it's not really a hole, it's sort of tiny, is what happens if Rice and Zubimendi are out. That's what I would say. So I wouldn't mind a central midfielder. I think the profile would be quite young, athletic, box to box, sort of. That would be the profile. I don't know who that person might be, but I don't think we need to spend big money. For me, it's all about keeping the group together. There's been talk of Waneri. I mean, I don't know where the talk's coming from. Of like, Waneri's not getting in the squad. Is he going to be loaned out? Same for Lewis Skelly. No.
Yeah, I agree.
A big fat no. No one leaves the building. The title is there. It's on the horizon. We will need everybody between now and the end of the season. It's a time actually for Arsenal to be selfish and to say, actually, we need all of you. So you're not going anywhere.
Is there a big worry though, Clarke? Just on, you mentioned Ethan Nwaneri there.
Yeah.
He signed the new deal, didn't he? And I don't know the ins and outs of the new deal, but it's been reported that he was promised a certain amount of minutes and, all of this stuff, and he's just not getting those minutes. Is there a worry that he might feel like he's had his fingers burnt and want to do something in the summer?
Yeah, and if he does, he does. But that's up to him, how he wants to take it, isn't it? Eza coming would have been, he'd have been gutted about it.
I think that was unplanned, though, really, wasn't it?
About it. Maybe they even said, I don't know. They might have even said that, that you're the backup to Ødegaard this season, and then of course, bang, we've got an opportunity to sign Eza, we do it. And maybe he's just not got over that disappointment. But if he wants to stay at Arsenal, he has to get over that disappointment, and he has to convince Mikel Arteta that he's someone that needs to be included. So. Yeah, but look, if he can't get his head around it, then ultimately he probably won't stay in the long term. But in the here and now, we're not getting rid of anybody.
What does it say for Christian Norgard? Because you've both mentioned the midfield at separate times. Christian Norgard was brought in to be that guy, the backup midfielder. And he's had a few opportunities, but not that many. There's been games where a lot of people have predicted him to play, and actually Mikel Arteta's gone really strong because that's his ethos. So what do you think the future holds for him, James?
He's been getting a few more minutes recently, hasn't he, Norgard? He's looked quite good. Though he looked good in the Palace game, came on to see it out against Villa. He was brought in to be, and I mean this with all the respect in the world because I wish I was at this level, but he was brought in to be a steady squad player for Arsenal who could kind of keep things moving. I think we've been surprised how little he's been used, especially with how much Zubimendi's played. I'd almost understand it more if Rice played 6 to get Eze and Ødegaard together, but I think he tried that once against West Ham. So I like him. I'd like to see more minutes. I just think Arteta loves Zubimendi. I mean, to a point of, actually, Declan Rice, you play right back against Brighton because I'm not moving this guy. So that's just what it is, really. And but when he has come in, he's done OK. I think Norgard's minutes will start to come, to be honest. We've got, I think, 9 games in January in 4 separate competitions, 4 away games in 4 separate competitions. There'll be minutes for Norgard and Nwaneri, by the way, who I don't think would have signed a contract. I don't think Arsenal would ever have lied to him about his trajectory, and he'll be sort of quite calm on that, I think.
He's good if he's good enough to stay, and I think we all think he is talented enough, he'll stay and he'll thrive and he'll get his chance. But
Nwaneri or Norgard?
Nwaneri, Nwaneri, but he's young. He's still a teenager.
I completely agree.
Everybody wants something yesterday nowadays, don't they? Like.
Well, once you've had a taste of it,
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like going. It's not like they have to go back to the reserves like I did. Now that is a come down. When you're in the first team, you go back to the reserves. There's 500 people there. That's a bit of a knock. They don't really have to experience that anymore. But he's just got to mentally stay with it because there's no way that Arteta doesn't like Ethan Nwaneri.
Exactly,
he's a brilliant talent. Yeah.
And how many players could we say this about? You mentioned Norgard there. We've talked about Nwaneri. I mean, I think Madueke and Dowman's development might have been a little bit of a message to Nwaneri as well, that there's competition. When Havertz is back, we know Arteta loves Kai Havertz. You've got £65 million Gyökeres and £45 million or £50 million Jesus. What does that mean for them? Trossard, for me, I saw him as the third in line to the left wing spot with Eze and Martinelli. He's the guy right now. So I just think we all wanted this. And I actually think the players can really benefit from this. And we might have a second half of the season where a couple of players really surprise us. They come through as like, don't forget about me. And they have their moment.
I think it's because we're just not used to it as Arsenal supporters. Because if you look at, the great Manchester City team, they had 2 players in every position, right? Their second 11 was nearly as good as their first 11. And for Arsenal, for so many years, it was like we had a good first 11, not as good as teams like Manchester City and Liverpool, but we had a good first 11. But if there was a singular injury, it really messed us up. Whereas now, this is where we wanted to be. And we're all kind of, not worried, but we're all looking at it like, we need to get minutes for Eza. He's going to want to leave. We just get worried.
I think modern players, they're kind of tuned into it now. I think they get it. The whole starter-finisher thing, it's just words, really, for me. No one likes being on the bench.
Yeah, agreed.
But I do think that if Arsenal are going to stay deep in all competitions, and hopefully we will, they're all going to get games. And like you say, when City were winning the leagues, Haaland played every minute. Foden didn't, but you know, others were rotated all of the time. So yeah, our players have just got to get their heads around it, and I think they'd rather do that and be part and get some medals than play every week and finish, you know, 5th or 6th.
And I think we all think that there's... I mean, I certainly do. I always think there's this big master plan in August that's going to carry out for 9-10 months. But again, treble-winning Man City, Cancelo was starting. Things go wrong, he leaves. They go to this centre-back, back four system that... I mean, I low-key think Arteta set the standard for that. But anyway, Pep was kind of seen as having done something very new with that. And that didn't feel planned from Man City. You know, Stones stepping into midfield the way he did. But they're learning throughout the season. Arteta started against Forest, the 3-0 win with Eze on the left. And then he started at Villa Park with Eze on the left. There might have been a real intention for that to be the way it goes. Ødegaard gets injured. Eze starts playing in the 10 more. Trossard looks brilliant. He couldn't have necessarily predicted this. So you roll with it.
Yeah. Right, so Saka, Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, Christian Norgard, all out of contract in 2027. What do we think about that? Do we think some are going to be extended? If you're looking at that list, I mean, I think I can guess who you're definitely going to say is going to get extended.
Well, Saka will get extended. Yeah. Hopefully that could be announced between, you know, over the next few weeks or months. I mean, it feels like I heard that was sorted ages ago, but then we haven't seen that picture of him with Arteta, have we? And
the arm round him photo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still waiting for that. I mean, on the others, you don't want to lose anyone for free, do you? So contracts might be offered. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm not perturbed by any of that, really.
But is there... So we're all in agreement. Saka, that's going to get done. So Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus and Christian Norgard then. Those three, who do you think will remain? Do you think any of them will remain? You know, what's
I want Martinelli
thoughts?
to sign a new deal because I think he has great value. You don't want to lose him for free. Norgard and Jesus, it wouldn't surprise me if we let them leave.
I think I agree. I actually fear for Martinelli a little bit. I think he's a player he's so unbelievably selfless. He does so much work and running for the team. I think he's reinvented himself a little bit as a player. I like him more central, but he's doing this touchline job, tracking fullbacks a lot. I wonder whether he might just think, who's at the table for me this summer? And I actually think there'll be a lot of clubs, a lot of managers who want to work with a player who works that hard, has that much quality, albeit he's been hot and cold the last few years. Yeah. Norgard, I think, really was there to do a job for a few years, and that's fine. And Jesus will probably go in the summer. So I think Saka's the only one who sadly has a long-term future, even though I really like all three of those other players for other reasons.
Yeah, Norgard's already said he wants to go back to his boyhood club, right?
Okay.
He wants to finish his career at his boyhood club, so that will happen at some point. And I think there'll be serious interest for Martinelli from Spain, actually.
Yeah, and if we sell him, we'll hopefully make a load of money and we can reinvest it. You know, I wouldn't be devastated if we did end up selling him. But you don't want to lose him on a free.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's the point. He's got good value.
Yeah. Right, before we kick off our FA Cup campaign against Pompey, we've got the huge matter of taking on Liverpool this Thursday evening, a massive match. It still hurts me that they beat us at their place because they shouldn't have. It was a moment of magic, a brilliant goal, but, you know, that should have been a draw. How are you feeling ahead of this one, Clarke?
I'm feeling really confident. Yeah, I'm feeling Villa vibes. But my only worry is Liverpool. They were so defensive. Arsenal got criticised for being mega defensive that day. So were Liverpool. Liverpool were scared stiff of us. And can you imagine what they might do here? If they shut up shop at Anfield, I think they will play really cautiously. And it could be an awkward game for us. But we are better than Liverpool. And I know quite a few Liverpool fans and they're all very worried about this game. And I think for good reason. I think defensively they're shaky. And we can certainly create lots and lots of chances against them. Ekitike, I think, is brilliant, and he worries me in the way that Isak would. And Vierts is a talent, but I think all across the pitch we're better than Liverpool, and I think we should win with, dare I say it, a degree of comfort.
Ekitike wasn't in the squad though, was he, against Fulham? So I don't know if he's got an issue there that will keep him out on Thursday.
Well, that'd be nice,
Yeah, well, so early in the week, we'll see. But he's the real threat, isn't he? Obviously with Isak and Salah away. You touched on Liverpool being cautious there, and I completely agree. I think they're going to be quite sensible through the game. I think you can see that in some of their 11s with like Szoboszlai, Jones, Wirtz kind of as a 3 with McAllister and Gravenberch behind. It's not designed to go from one end of the pitch to the other particularly quickly. And I think Slot was really burnt by the 4-1 defeat to PSV. Their results since, I think they're unbeaten. And yeah, they scored 3, conceded 3 against Leeds, and they've had some bad results in there. But I feel like they've just tried to be a little bit more sensible, a little bit less what he was saying to Jamie Carragher on the opening day of the season, which is, I want to entertain, I want to attack, I want my fullbacks getting forward. It's like he's sort of had to compromise a little bit on that. They're not flying or ticking in any way, shape or form, but they are a bit more sensible than they were 2 months ago. Yeah. And I think that makes this a slightly cagier game for us.
Yeah.
Did you think their goal, Wirtz's goal against Fulham was offside or onside? What do you reckon?
Well, it looked offside, didn't it, on the cut of the grass and whatnot. I read about margin for error. Don't know about that. I don't know. It depends where they take the point, doesn't it? But where they take the point of contact on the pass. But yeah, maybe it's a lucky point, but it's a heck of a goal to get the draw from Fulham, wasn't it? Look, Liverpool have got amazingly talented players, and of course they're capable of beating us because moments of magic could win them the game. But I think we're way ahead of them at the moment, and we're due maybe giving them a little bit of a pasting.
I would love it. Yeah. Let me tell you. How do you expect to see us line up in that one? You don't have to go through the full 11, but who do you expect to be the key players?
So do we think it'll be Gyökeres?
Yeah. Jesus didn't play that well when he came on.
No, it wasn't a good cameo. I love him, but it wasn't.
He didn't look good. So Gyökeres will lead the line, Saka right, Trossard left. We know the midfield will be Zubimendi, Rice and Ødegaard. I think if Calafio's not fit, then it'll be the same back four. So the team is the team. We're going to have a great bench. We might need that bench. If Liverpool do play it cagey and stay in the match and it's level, coming to the hour mark, then it's up to Arteta to get it right, isn't it? So...
If Calafio's fit, would you bring him in for Nkapio?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Straight away?
Yeah.
I think I would too. And yeah, if it is a cager game, you talk about the subs, then that's when Eze and Nwaneri might be called upon. That's when they're probably the two, with Trossard, the 2 best ball strikers from that edge of the penalty area. You want it to land to them. So if it is that kind of cager game, we might call on them. But great options.
I know there's been a degree of separation between us going to Anfield and losing versus... I'm just using Villa as a comparison because the Villa game at Villa Park was only a few weeks ago and we wanted revenge.
Yeah.
Szoboszlai scored that amazing free kick in a game that should have been a draw. For me, I still want revenge. I don't know how you guys feel.
Definitely. Yeah, that one hurt. That was a wounder because we didn't deserve to lose that game at all. So no, the players will be well up for it. The Villa game was a statement win. And I think, given that now the lead is extended to 6 points, the opportunity to sort of take it even further potentially against Liverpool and to sort of just put them away once and for all in regards to this season, I think that means that we are going to be front foot and very forceful and assertive and hopefully, we bring our A game. I think if we bring our shooting boots in any match that we play, that we win it. Because the matches where we drop points, most of them we missed a lot of chances.
Yeah, it's a really important month. I'm just having a look at the fixtures here. Liverpool, the next game, of course, then FA Cup against Portsmouth away, Chelsea away in the EFL Cup, Forest away in the Premier League, then Inter Milan, then Manchester United. This is all in January, and then we've got to go to Leeds on the last day of January as well. So I feel like if we get through this month, take the cup competitions away. I'm not dismissing them at all because I want to win everything, let me tell you, but just take them away. Looking at those Premier League fixtures, if we can get maximum points from the Premier League fixtures this month, then I will start booking hotels for the end of the season.
It's a monster month, isn't it? Did you say Leeds away was at the end of the
the last game of the last game of the month, sorry.
Forest away, just no Sean Dyche as a game plan he's probably working on now. Man United, new manager. Yeah, but I need to keep telling myself this. You want to win the league, so obviously it's hard. Like, I keep getting into... Every month I look, I go, that's a tricky run.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be hard. Every fixture, I keep thinking what could go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah, you want to win the league. You know, you're playing at a margin, or you're playing with fine margins. Other teams aren't. If you want to get into the top 4, look how poor Liverpool, United, Chelsea have been, and they could still get Champions League. Tottenham could still get Champions League football. I think Palace are 14th, and they're 4 points off 5th.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we're not playing with those margins. It's a different game for us. And that's fine. I think we just got to embrace it.
We just got to match the first half of the season, haven't we? I think at the halfway point, we're on 45. So we haven't got to 90 in these runners-up finishes. I think 90 will be enough this year with Man City sort of below par maybe. So we've just got to match the first half of the season with the second. And, you know, there were slip-ups in the first half of the season. So there are bound to be 1 or 2 setbacks along the way, and maybe in January. But it doesn't mean it will derail us. Yeah, it's a huge month. Remember last Jan, we were in bits. We were stretched. We had no one on the bench. We were struggling for strikers. Everyone was injured, and it was a horrible month.
Yeah.
I just feel that we're in a much better shape ahead of it. Just hope for no major injuries.
Yeah, just before we wrap the show, then a super quick prediction for the Liverpool game. Score prediction from you both?
2-0, but it could be 4 or 5.
Oh, massive shout from Clarke.
I think 2-1. I feel like we've got like a silly, like, how did we concede that moment in us?
Yeah,
but
maybe.
we'll go and win it.
You nicked my prediction. That's what I was going to go for, 2-1. Playing it a bit safer than Clarke. Right, that is all we've got time for on today's Inside Gooners. Thank you for your company, of course. Thanks to Adrian, Clarke and to James Bayliss. And all that's left for me to say is, come on, you Gunners!